It's the largest aircraft type in the Swiss International Airlines fleet, and there have been made several models of it over the years, so it's about time that we take a closer look. And with that, hello and welcome to a new episode of Review, where we today will take a closer look at a Boeing 777-300ER of Swiss International Airlines. At the front of the box we have the cutout, so we can get a glimpse of the aircraft model inside, and on top of the box we have the Swiss branding. Then on the back side of the box we have one thing of interest, and that is a lovely image of the aircraft in real life. So with no further ado, let's take a closer look inside and at the aircraft model itself. And here she is, the Boeing 777-300ER in the crown livery of Swiss International Airlines. As I mentioned in the beginning of the video, there have been made several versions of this model over the years. This is the 002 version from Herpa Wings, which means it's the third version of this aircraft from Herpa. But Sky 500, if I'm not mistaken, did also make a model of a 777-300ER from Swiss International Airlines. In fact, the very first one they ever took delivery of, and that had a special livery. So there's plenty to choose from if you are interested in such a model, but for today we focus on this one. And if we start off with the tail section of the aircraft, we find the iconic Swiss International Airlines logo and branding on the vertical stabilizer. On the fuselage we then have the full registration code of the aircraft. At the very tail we also have some lovely detailing around the APU exhaust. At the front of the aircraft and across the fuselage we then find the writing of Swiss, and we also have a Star Alliance logo, of which Swiss International Airlines is a member. At the top of the fuselage we then also have the addition of this lovely sat dome, which I think looks very nice. And then if we look around the cockpit section, again a little bit bare boned as we are used to by now from Herpa Wings, but we do have the window wipers printed on. If we look at the engine nacelles, we can see they have been kept in all white, but do have the lovely silver leading edge. If we look at them from the backside, I think they look rather nicely detailed, although they are not entirely correctly shaped for GE90 engines, but that's a common issue with Herpa Wings. If we look into the engines from the front, we can see the engine fan blades very nicely. Just above the wings we then have the emergency exit printed on, and that of course leads us straight to the wings, because we should definitely also take a look at those. If we start here with the top side, we can see the different flaps, slats and spoilers carved out very nicely. We also have the markings for the emergency exits printed on, and then we have this thick black line. That is a marking for the pilots, marking the outer edges of the landing gear. This is a line they can see from a camera that in real life is mounted on the vertical stabilizer. And then a quick look at the underside of the wings I think also reveals some rather decent detailing, where we also find the full registration code of the aircraft once again. And then we come to the landing gear. Here we have the main landing gear underneath the wings, and I mean that is a standard landing gear from Herpa Wings for all 777s. Nothing special here, but I think it's a rather decent standard, so that's definitely not a critique. A little bit of a critique I do have for the front landing gear, but that's mainly for the lack of detailing. They could have printed a few markings here and there, but as always we only get those with Herpa Wings Club models. The physical detail itself I think is fine. And then last but certainly not least, we also have the doors to the cargo compartments printed on here in the back side of the aircraft and here at the front of the aircraft. So there we have it, the Boeing 777-300ER from Swiss International Airlines. And what can we say about this aircraft model? Well, I mean, as I mentioned now several times, it's the third version of this aircraft type with this livery from Herpa Wings. Now I can't say much about the previous versions because I never bought them, but normally we do see small improvements over time. So for example, the addition of the sat dome would probably be a detail that you wouldn't find on earlier versions of this aircraft model. However, overall I think it is a decent model from Herpa Wings. My main critique of this model is really the lack of small printed details. Now, it's not because this model has less details printed on than pretty much all other models from Herpa Wings, but it's just with these white liveries or predominantly white liveries, the lack of these small details just seems to be much more visible. Then of course we have the known issue that the engines just aren't shaped correctly. Don't get me wrong, I think they look nice, but it is just not true to scale. So overall I think it's a decent model from Herpa Wings. It could just be so much more if Herpa had put a little bit more effort into it. Now with that we have reached the end of today's episode. If you have enjoyed this review, then don't forget to smash the like button, that really does help us out. And of course if you are new around here, why not hit subscribe, that would be absolutely awesome. With that I'd like to say thank you so much for watching, hope to see you soon again. I'm checking out and bye.